Okay, this is going to be the plan for the week, what we're looking at going into the new week. So first, I'm going to focus on the indexes. We're just going to talk about the indexes, and it's going to set the backdrop for what we're planning this week. So clearly, I mean, ES and NQ have been just kind of consolidating here for the latter part of, 3 months. I don't know, since December 24. In my opinion, I think it's distributing. Just like the markets, when it bottoms, it doesn't bottom immediately. Same thing with the topping. It's going to have these ranges that it develops. I like to think of the example of a storm cloud coming in when it's raining. It doesn't just immediately stop raining. It kind of slowly, progressively stops raining, and then it's just done raining. So same thing with the markets. We ripped, I don't know, since like 5,200 all the way up to 6,100. And I think we've been distributing here since. I think we're getting to the very end phases of this distribution range. Whether this was what is going to kick off the break to the downside here on ES, I'm not quite sure. I think we might have one more. I think we're in store for one more. This is my personal opinion. One more false breakout to the upside before this eventually does crash down. So I'm not quite sure what's going to happen. This week if we come down and retest the bottom of this range and then break it, and then that's the actual break. I'm not quite sure. I'm more leaning towards the fact that I think this is going to continue to bounce around here, and then I think it's going to make one more false breakout before it eventually goes down like that. That's my opinion. But that's, again, just me bullshit, and that's probably not what's going to happen. It's a read and react type of game. So that's the backdrop. So I'm not really personally looking for too many longs here. So we're going to be focusing more on the shorts this week. So GEHC is probably the one long I would actually consider, but with the backdrop of the indices looking like they're going to break down, obviously we're not thrilled to be longing anything. So GEHC broke above its upper extreme here. I'm looking for that retest and go for a long. It's whether this is going to break down or not. I'm not quite sure. I really wouldn't long anything until it climbs above 92, since 92 served as report or support, and then it broke down off of 92. So that's likely going to be resistance from here on out. So until it climbs above, of course. So GEHC is going to be the one long I would consider. Other than that, same thing with Deer. I'm not quite sure. Deer had a very long upper wick, on a price action standpoint. You don't want to see that long upper wick. Sellers were able to drive that all the way down back to kind of the breakout zone. So, it is going to retest previous extreme of the range. That's what I look for. I look for the previous range extreme, look for that retest and go. Um, again, with the backdrop of where the markets are, I'm not quite sure where or I'd be risking, a ton of longs right now. But DKNG and Roku. Boy, FOMO was an all-time high with these two earning breakouts, but I mean they're right back to their levels for both of them. So really proud that we didn't take either of those trades. Happy that we didn't. FOMO was like all-time high. I mean, DKNG just kept ripping. So then you kind of look at the results. So um, not really looking for either of those two this week. Nvidia, a lot of people seem to think it's going to miss. I don't love that price is able to re-enter this range. If anything, I'd want to see this exit the range, maybe on earnings, come right back up, retest previous support, and then go. And I'd be looking for this entry right here. This entry right here. Um, Probably won't be playing Nvidia into earnings. Honestly, I think this could surprise a lot of people, close above, and then do something like this and go all the way down. I'm not quite sure. We're looking for that phase D or that phase C actually false breakout in Nvidia here. So same thing, it's been distributing ever since, I don't know, October 24. There's just no more buyers. Each time it hits a new high, it just gets slapped down. So um that's Nvidia. Not really too focused on Nvidia this week. Although I mean it is a big focus because of earnings. Just not probably going to be taking a trade on Nvidia until maybe it comes down to 126, 127, retest it, and then we take an entry. But same thing with Roku. Not really excited to get long. Not going to talk about Square. Not going to talk about Upstart. Aurora maybe. I mean it's not going to be an entry this week. Not going to talk about it. Lyft. Not going to talk about it. BBAI. I am going to talk about it here quickly. Um, BBAI is not close to ready. It's not. It's not close to ready. I just want to set the backdrop for what I think could be the trade of the year. BBAI is, I mean, this thing looks fantastic, so I just want to talk about it really quickly. Um, We're gonna go to the daily here. So we see that, whenever price has this inordinate amount of volume, I really do like seeing that. And the stock has shown that it can make massive leaps within the underlying within 3 days. 3 days it went 90% right there. Just from a volume standpoint, you had this extreme high volume buying. You see a nice little correction going on right here, and just no institutional volume following it. So I do think higher prices are coming, and I think it's in a drastic sense. I do think in a drastic sense, it's not ready yet. It's not ready yet. If the stock can go 89% in 3 days, and now it's just going to consolidate within this range, I think we are going to see continued upside here. It's just a matter of when. Now I think this is probably going to consolidate maybe up until earnings. This was the start of phase A right here, and we're likely just making a phase B right now. So I think this is, a few weeks away. I'm going to preface that by saying this is a few weeks away. But holy cow, I mean, these options I feel like are so underpriced. If this thing is showing that it can go 89% in 3 days, I mean, these options could go crazy. I mean, if it went from 3 to what, like 9, I don't think this bullish cycle is even close to ready. If anything, this was our wedge pop, and we're in the very early stages of this bullish cycle. If I can even just pull that up really quickly. Um, I think we're in the early stages of where we're in this EMA crossback. We haven't even had a base and break extension yet. So if we just go off of the preface, it's I think this can expand even up to 30. If we get up to 30, like I was looking at the May, even 18 calls, which are pretty outside the money. You can get them for $40, $40 a contract. So hold on, like 50. Let's do 250. I have the options calculator on my other side of my screen. I'm gonna pull it up. So if it, I mean, it's just ridiculous. I think BBAI could be, the trade of the year, but I mean, just ridiculous percentages off of even a move to 18. I mean, this showed us it can go a move 90% in 3 days. Like what's this gonna do? I mean, I think the options are super underpriced. And if this even expands all the way to 30, I mean, it's just a stupid number. It's a stupid, stupid percent. Like even 5,000, a $5,000 position size, which is honestly what I'm considering putting on it when it eventually confirms is, I mean, it's year making. It's year making to put it short. Um, so I mean, I think this can get this. I mean, you don't see this massive volume like that. I mean, the only other times I've seen that is like IonQ, RKLB, and we saw whenever these like themes get hot, like these just start taking off. You just get these like massive volume prints out of nowhere, and these get hot. So like here's like the IonQ, other cloud computing names I could probably pull up, but I just want to preface BBAI and talk about that quick. I just so excited about this name. It's not ready yet, but get ready, get ready. Anyway, now our focus this week, ASTS broke down. Uber, I think, is going to break down here soon. A little bit of a rising wedge here. Look on the daily. Glad we didn't like chase Uber at all, but boy, it was hard not to chase it. I mean, this thing went nuclear. A firm broke down, don't care. Tem broke down, don't care. FSLR broke down. We could look at shorts here on FSLR. I'm just not like thrilled with it. I think it's fairly late in its downward cycle. I just don't think it's gonna be worth it. Not looking. BMY is something that I am gonna be looking for this week just because I'm a little bit of a short bias this week. Um, it did re-enter the range. I don't love that. I'd like to see price, maybe it comes all the way up to the upper extreme 61 again. I'm just not quite sure if it's ready yet. I'd like to see this get bearish engulfed and then maybe retest, maybe like a bearish engulfing, retest here, reject the range, and then it's good. So maybe on BMY, Lucid not looking for LRCX. Honestly, a lot of people are bullish on LRCX, but I don't really understand why. Honestly, this looks like just a massive like flag for lower. It just looks like we're redistributing lower and it had its false breakout. So I think honestly LRCX to the downside looks pretty good. Um, if this is able to re-enter the range, so our upper extremes over here, if this is able to re-enter the range, reject right here, I think this is more likely than not going to be heading towards the like 80% of volume. So if we just turn on the fixed range volume profile, this is going to be like your normal distribution bell curve. I think this is likely going to, if this rejects right here, I think this is likely going to come back into, where 80% of the volume is traded. So at least a rundown from 86 to 76 here on LRCX. If it does break back down into the zone, reject the upper extreme again, and then come back down. I think LRCX could be a nice trade to the short side. Oxy not looking for, you not looking for. So our main options this week are really LRCX, BMY, I'm gonna mark these blue just so we know. LRCX is blue. Riot is definitely gonna be a blue. Google and Microsoft are gonna be our shorts of focus this week. I think Google looks really good to the downside. It broke down here on Friday. I'd just be looking for some kind of retest, a retest of this level for an entry, and we'd be risking above the top of this sign of weakness bar. So this is a very nice fluid sign of weakness bar. Really no buying support within here. Broke down a lot of indecision candles at the lower extreme, and I think this broke down nicely. So uh, this one's nice because it also has the value area low is pretty low. Same thing with the VPOC. So that's just I really like that risking above that level. I think it's fantastic, and I think we do have some downside in store. Not quite sure if it'll give us the retest, but I'd be looking for some kind of maybe one more down day, bounce back up into it. Maybe it makes some kind of like that, and then we take it off of this one right here. So I think that'd be a really nice short on Google. Microsoft, same thing. I mean, I mean, this distribution zone is massive. I mean, Microsoft, I didn't realize, but it's been distributing since like February 24, and it honestly looks like it's on the verge of breaking its like massive, massive structure right here. So it's really just basing and breaking very large red fluid candle right there, and an increase in volume. So that's some genuine selling. So this is the daily, but just on the lower time frame, I'd be looking for some kind of retest where our entry is right here on the short side on Microsoft. So same thing with Riot. I don't know if I want to play this. Earnings are Monday. But really same thing to the downside. It's breaking that lower extreme. I'd look for a retest of that lower extreme, a rejection, and then I think the path of least resistance is to the downside. So I think that'd be a really good trade. But to sum up this video, we're looking for Riot, Google, Microsoft, LRCX, BMY short. I don't really love the long. I have a lot of setups that if the market proves me wrong and um, everything is fairly bullish, besides the scenario where I think it could false breakout. If things are looking good and this does break out to the upside, which I do not think it is going to, but I do have a lot of long setups if that scenario does happen. So like Aurora, I think Aurora is going to be fantastic here soon. It broke back into the range, but um, no trades yet until it gets out of the range. But I mean, just on the weekly, this thing looks pretty insane. It's kind of retesting this flag break, but if it breaks down and bullish engulfs it, this is probably a huge no-no, and it's a bright breakdown. So that's about it. GEHC, Deer, upside targets, BMY, LRCX, Riot, Google, Microsoft, what I'm looking for short side. So, and BBAI, get excited. I am so excited about this name. It's just not ready. It's not ready. So, just gonna set that excitement aside for about a week here or so, but that'll do.